Welcome to a special Election Day coverage of Anycast. This, of course, is my podcast on YouTube where we talk about any topic that's going on, primarily sports. Although today we're going to focus a little bit on the election because today is Election Day. We're going to be choosing a president. We'll see what happens with the results later on tonight, but obviously you want to go out there and vote, especially since the weather is nice all across the country today. You want to vote. There you have no excuse to not vote. You got to go vote. Make your voice be heard. And so it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to settle here. There's a lot of states that are going to be closed. Florida is always a close one. Pennsylvania looks like it's going to be a tight one. Wisconsin, Michigan are going to be interesting states because those are states that Trump flipped the script in 2016, and we'll see if Biden can recapture that Democratic magic in this election. So we shall see what happens. So I think it's going to be very exciting. Definitely want to stay tuned for that. There's plenty of coverage all around. CNN, NBC, Fox News, CBS, and ABC. So you have pretty much all your media that'll be covering the election results. And you got no sports on tonight. So you have a good thing to watch tonight. So go watch the elections coverage. Very important stuff. Now, moving on to the sports. First of all, I would like to give props to my man Chase Elliott, who was triumphant in Martinsville and in a walk-off fashion advances to the championship four, and now he's going to be competing for a title. It's the first time that a Hendrick driver has made the Final Four and the first Chevrolet to make the Final Four since Jimmy Johnson won his seventh and what will be final title back in 2016. That was an election year. Coincidence? I like Elliott's chances. But what's really intriguing is that you have four drivers that have had success in some way or fashion in Phoenix. And so I think this is going to make this interesting. And I'm not talking about Kevin Harvick. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Kevin Harvick, he was dominating all season long. What happened to him? Well, this is what the playoff format does for you. He nearly won at Kansas, struggled at Texas. He had to play catch-up in Martinsville, and as a result, on the last lap, he tried to wreck Kyle Busch to gain that one more spot to advance into the Final Four. Couldn't get it done. And so Kevin Harvick, with his 9 wins and his unbelievable season, it will all be for naught because he got eliminated. And I know there are people that are griping about, oh, the system is ridiculous. The best driver doesn't even get to compete for a title. Yes, I can understand that side, but that's the whole purpose, is so that you can have someone compete for the title. If we had done this under the old format, yes, Harvick would have won it a long time ago, and he would have been deserving of the title at that point. But you still have Denny Hamlin. Although he's struggling down the stretch, he has not looked as strong as he had at the beginning of the season when he and Harvick were going back and forth with each other. So that opens the door for Chase Elliott and the two Penske drivers that advance. Joey Logano, who won that race at Kansas to advance, and then Brad Keselowski, who just barely, and I mean barely, made it through on points to advance into the Final Four. So you got Logano's won a title, Brad's won a title. They're each looking for their second Cup title. Hamlin has been the best driver that has not won a title. And then you got the most popular driver in Chase Elliott. And all four have had very good success at Phoenix. This is going to be exciting. I will not be surprised if Kevin Harvick still wins the Phoenix race just to get that 10th win and say, hey, this is still a really good season. But you got four really good drivers that have a worthy chance of being. There is no clear-cut favorite. If I'm going to give a slight edge, maybe Hamlin because of the success he's had all season, but there's no clear-cut favorite. Hamlin could easily win it. Logano could easily win it. Brad could win it. Elliott could win it. I would not be shocked of any of them winning it. Although I do hope Chase Elliott wins as a Hendrick fan. That would be an awesome send-off for Johnson to watch his teammate win another title for Hendrick. Speaking of Hendrick, they've also made news lately because Kyle Larson not only got reinstated, but he's going to be joining Hendrick in the revised number 5 car, the return of the number 5 car. So Larson will be driving that one. Of course, that means Bowman. You wonder what's going to happen with the 48. Bowman's going to move on to the 48 car. And so the 88 becomes the 5, and Larson is going to be driving that car. And Bowman is going to move on to the 48. So essentially the two teams are going to flip-flop numbers, basically. So Bowman's crew goes from 88 to 48. Johnson's crew will go from 48 to the 5, which is formerly the 88, or will be formerly the 88. And so that'll be interesting there. Other news in the silly season, that's what they call their off season, or I guess their moving transitional period, is that Eric Jones is going to be moving on to Richard Penny because Bubba Wallace is moving over to the new team co-owned by Denny Hamlin and the one and only Michael Jordan. His Royal Airness is making his way to NASCAR. I love that move. This is going to be big for NASCAR. You have a superstar, a global icon that is going to attract some viewers into the NASCAR world and get them introduced to NASCAR if they're new to it. I think this is an awesome move. So I congratulations to him. Congratulations to Danny Hamlin, who's now going to be co-owning a team while still driving for Joe Gibbs. And again, we haven't seen this in NASCAR since the Intimidator started up DEI while still driving for Richard Childress at the end of his run. And then awesome for Bubba Wallace because he's going to get a chance to show himself with some better equipment, just how worthy he is and how capable he is. So that'll be exciting to watch. Baseball obviously happened. Congratulations to the Dodgers on winning the World Series. I guess LA truly is the king of the bubble titles because they won the NBA title and the World Series over Tampa's Stanley Cup title when those sports moved over to bubbles for their postseason. So finally we can shut up about, will the Dodgers win a title? Yes, they finally won a title. Now you can shut up about it. Let's move on. So there's that. Moving on to football. Who would have thought that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be the last undefeated team in the NFL at this point? 7-0. I definitely did not see that coming. I'm sure a lot of people didn't see that coming. And this I can't believe either. This is only the second time that the Pittsburgh Steelers have started 7-0. 1978 was the only other time. You know what happened that year for you football fanatics and historians. They went on to win the Super Bowl. So that I can't believe that this is only the second time that they've done that. But that AFC North looks really good. You have Baltimore at 5-2. Cleveland looks like a playoff team at 5-3. Even Cincinnati and the Bengals have been competitive. They're going to finish towards the bottom of the league, but they have been pretty competitive, and I think they definitely didn't screw up the draft with Joe Burrow. He's a superstar in the making, so definitely watch out for that division. The NFC West is equally as talented. Seahawks are winning that one with a 6-1 mark, and it's pretty much been Russell Wilson carrying the load still. The Cardinals, who handed the Seahawks their only setback, 5-2. The Rams are 5-3, and then you got the 49ers, the defending NFC champs, 4-4, although they're now banged up. They just lost Jimmy Garoppolo for at least 6 weeks. Could be more if he needs surgery. And then Kittle's out 8 weeks, which basically means he's done for the season. So huge blow for the Niners. So it's an uphill battle at this point for them. But if I have faith in one team, it's the Niners. I feel like Shanahan's going to find a way to work himself around that, and they'll be able to do some damage. Yeah. But there's some other good teams in the NFC. The Buccaneers look like they're a contender at 6-2. Saints at 5-2 look like they're going to be contending again. Packers at 5-2. There is concern, though, I have with Green Bay. I've seen them play against the Niners twice last year, this year against the Bucs, and then this last weekend when Dalvin Cook came back and shredded us with the Vikings. Green Bay does not stack up well against physical teams. So I hope that they can do something at the trade deadline, which is also today. But knowing Green Bay, I just feel like they're not going to do anything, even though I feel like they have to. You need to get another weapon for Aaron Rodgers, or you need to stiffen up that defense and get some physicality, because you can't compete with these physical teams, and that's going to be a problem come playoff time when you're dealing with the likes of the Buccaneers, who I think right now could be the most complete team in the NFC. They may not have the best record, but they're the most complete team in the NFC. I think that's a team to watch out for. Bears, I think reality are starting to hit them in. 2 straight losses, they're now 5-3. Because of the expanded playoffs, I think they're still going to make it, but I just don't see them doing much damage. Their offense is so anemic. They can't rely on just their defense to win them games. They have to get some offense if they're going to do some damage in the NFC. And then, let's see, there's the NFC East. Or as everyone is calling them, including me, the NFC least. Because the Eagles are winning that division with a 3-4-1 mark. good God almighty, that is horrendous. That division sucks. If you've seen the Eagles' last 2 games, and you probably have because they've been on national TV both times, the Thursday night game against the Giants and the Sunday night tilt against the Cowboys, who are down to their third-string rookie quarterback, mind you. Carson Wentz I feel like he's doing way too much. He's carrying too much of a load. Fortunately, they won those 2 games because these are 2 teams that are going nowhere. And so, I don't know. I don't like the fact that the NFC East is going to get a representative and will host a playoff game because they do not deserve that. That's just total garbage in my book. I think they need to seriously consider doing it by seeding. They need to seed them by the best teams in the conference. I'm telling you, it is not that hard. You can do a round robin and play 1 intra-conference game. You can have head-to-head tiebreakers. You can have seedings to determine who makes the playoffs and do the seedings that way. And you have the best teams in there because there are some teams that are going to get left out, particularly in the NFC West. Maybe. We'll see. That depends on what unfolds there. But there's a lot of good teams there. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC that could really make a push. The Chiefs, obviously being the defending champs, are going to be the favorites until otherwise. But watch out for Pittsburgh, as I mentioned. That whole AFC North is pretty darn tough, folks. So you got to watch those teams in action because they are really good. Tennessee and Indianapolis look like they're going to be the 2 teams coming out of the AFC South. At their best, maybe they can challenge, but we'll see. And then it looks like Buffalo in the AFC East will for sure look like they'll get in. The Dolphins are an intriguing team. They started out pretty good with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They've switched to Tua Tagovailoa, which, by the way, great weekend for the Tagovailoa brothers. His younger brother beat Minnesota in his first start, and Tua in his first start, while he didn't look good stat-wise, his team came out victorious because of that fierce Miami defense. I think that defense, if they can do enough on offense with that defense, they're going to scare some opponents in that conference. I'd watch out for the Dolphins. They're going to be interesting to watch. As far as college football goes, big news is that Trevor Lawrence tested positive for COVID, so he missed the game against BC, which Clemson escaped, and now he's going to be out for this game at Notre Dame, which is a huge playoff implicator one. These are going to be the 2 best teams in the ACC duking it out. Ohio State looks like they're going to challenge for the Big Ten title, and they're going to be the conference's best hope because Wisconsin just today got their 2nd straight game canceled because of their outbreak. I'm not too confident Wisconsin's going to make a push for the playoffs. At this point, they're going to be lucky just to finish up their season. And again, that's the disadvantage of starting late and having this situation where players have to stay out for 21 days. You get that situation. And so Alvarez felt like it was in the best interest of the players and their health and their safety. And I respect him for this decision to just cancel the game. It sucks for teams like Purdue and Nebraska because now they're being impacted too, because now they can't play a makeup game because the Big Ten's doing conference only games. And if you miss a certain amount, if you don't play a certain amount of games, you're ineligible for the Big Ten title. So that really screws up with the Big Ten, I think. And I think they have to be second guessing their decision to come back in light of what's unfolded. I mean, you had to understand that your teams are in cold areas. What's going to happen in the pandemic? People are going to go in because they can't do anything outside. And that's where, if you're conjoined, packed in a small room with no air to come out, that's where the virus is going to spread. And so, unfortunately, this is what's happened with Wisconsin. And so, we'll see if they can recover from that. The Pac-12 gets going this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how they unfold. And it looks like as far as the SEC goes, it's Bama and everybody else. I know they lost Waldo to an injury, but I think they could survive without it because it's Bama. Come on. They are the most talented team in college football. So if I got to make a prediction, I still think Clemson's going to survive without Lawrence. I think they'll beat Notre Dame because Notre Dame is overrated in my book. They have not looked impressive in my book. So I still think it's going to be Clemson, Ohio State, Bama, and then I think it's a toss-up. I think you can make an argument for the Pac-12 champ if they go undefeated. You can make an argument for a one-loss Georgia team if their only loss is to Bama. Then you could make an argument maybe for Wisconsin if they can able to get games going, but we shall see. So a lot of movement still going on in college football, and again, all of this is being dictated by the pandemic. Can these players stay healthy. That's going to be the key. So, again, reminder to go out and vote today. And definitely watch the election coverage, and we'll see what happens there. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. And so take care, stay safe, and go vote today.